Hello, my friends. Welcome to the fifth episode of this podcast. I haven't been sharing in a while. I have been crazy and I have been moving to Mexico and I'm preparing a video about that. But in the meantime, I wanted to share this conversation that I have with Ankit, which is a great brand designer from India. I hope you enjoy it. Let's dive right into it.
Welcome to launching My Creative Studio with Alejandro Calderon.
I want to use this podcast to learn more about different challenges or things you have had, or different lessons or different wins that you're proud of. So that's the idea of this conversation. Let's just start with the beginning. Tell us a little bit, where are you from? What was your upbringing like? Where do you grow up and the challenges that you had at the beginning?
Cool. I'm Ankit and I'm a brand designer from India and I do branding for mental health brands. So, where did I grow up? Grew up in a very small town in India. It's in the state literally called Central State. So, that's where I'm from. And yeah, it was a very nice upbringing, to be honest. Like, we didn't face any challenges, like where we have to think about how we're gonna do something. Because if distinctly remember, if I ask my father something, he will first ask me if it's a legitimate demand or not. If I need some computer, if I need some books or stuff like that, he will be like, "Yeah, we'll get that." So it
Nice.
was a very nice upbringing. No, nothing like out of everything, and I'm grateful for that.
That's very good. So do you feel
Yeah,
like you had any issues at the beginning with having access to the information when you started?
definitely. I think the concept of internet was very remote to me, and we had this internet cafes here. So you would go there and pay some money for 1 hour of time. And usually we did this for school projects. Like we need some information for our school projects, we would go there. And most of time we'd be done with our work in 15 minutes, and rest of the 15 and 45 minutes, we used to play games on that computers. So that was my first interaction with computers and even the internet, to be honest. And I think when it was around 5 or 6 years ago, when internet became very affordable and like with quality, with a higher quality and good speed, it got available around 5 to 6 years ago, and it completely changed this landscape of, I can say, youth for India. They got
Mm.
information from all over the place, everything, everywhere, and it opened a new career opportunities, new opportunities which were not available. Like people don't used to know, and even when I left my town, I got to know like there are some other job opportunities. But it's still, I was limited by the information. I didn't know like there used to be something like logo designing.
And how did you start to discover this, your creative side? What was the initial things, maybe when you were a kid or something, that you said, maybe I can be creative?
As far as I remember, I was very creative in my childhood. So when I changed school, I was in a local school, and when I went to the convent school, and there they had art class. So I was very fascinated by it, and I bought all the colors and stuff like that, and I started doing drawings and stuff like that up to the grade 10th. I was very passionate about doing sketching. I was like, I used to design my covers for my projects and everything. And my classmate would come to me like, "You have very good handwriting. You write very beautifully. Can you write covers for us?" So I was used to do that, and I was proud of myself. Like I have this artistic finesse in me. But after the 10th standard, the thing here is once you reach 10th standard, it's called the board class, and you have to prepare hard for that examination, because after the 10th standard, you have to choose a subject where you want to specialize in. It's going to be maths, it's going to be science. What subject's going to be? I going into economics and stuff like that. So at this stage, all my attention, maybe I myself diverted, or it may be society. I left the art at that point. I was focused on getting good grades. I didn't even touch the pencil and stuff like that. I didn't draw anything. And that's why I remember according, like, I budged on the society's constraints. I stopped my art at this point. So it took a long time to pick it up back up.
That's interesting. Do you remember what was the first time you designed something, at least something like a logo?
Yeah, I think I used to write my name in monograms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I really like that. I really like to do that for my projects, and used to design monograms for my projects. Like this would be on top of my project file.
Nice. So
So
you
yeah,
had a logo back then.
definitely.
Nice. That's really interesting. And when did you start to design for money? When did you start exchanging your time for money in design?
It's a very interesting story. I think I didn't go for design. Design found me. When I was in college, I was doing science. Like I was on the clear trajectory. Like I want to be a scientist. This is my journey. But after I got rejected by a prestige college here, which I applied for, and most of the student here around me applies for that college, and it's a very tough competition. Like you have to crack exam, and when I went for exam, I knew that I'm not able to crack this exam. Then I went for a mediocre college, to be honest, and I studied there. And in the first semester, I did very well, and I didn't put a lot of effort in, but I did very well. And I realized if I'm going to put effort into this, what's going to achieve for me? What results will that bring out? Then I made analysis. I have a lot of time, and I don't think studying this course will gonna be doing anything good for me. So I tried to try different entrepreneurial journeys. Like I started learning coding just to upskill myself, and that's where the internet was very helpful for me. Like it opened a lot of door of knowledge to me. You can learn this, you can learn this. Even I tried affiliate marketing, so I was on the track of doing whatever can make me upskill myself and start a business. I'm gonna do this. But I was interested in science, so I started a science blog and turned into an Instagram page, and people getting interested in whatever content I was posting there. So I tried to improve quality of my content. Like I'm presenting this information, it should be in a better way. So I started learning design. Like how can I design this posts better? Like how can I improve experience of my audience? How can I edit the videos better? So I started working on that, and slowly, when I was learning the design, it slowly opened a door to me. There's a whole new field of design, graphic design. There are people doing branding and all kind of the stuff. So there's a career in this too. So I went on here. Let's try this. If you're
Mm.
trying multiple things, let's also try this. Then slowly people started started sharing my design work in one of community, and a person reached out to me like, would you do stylescape for me? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And they introduced stylescapes to me, because before that I used to call them mood boards.
Mood boards.
But they introduced the concept of stylescapes. They shared some notes with me. These are the stylescapes, these are the guidelines. And I still remember they shared a video of Christo with me. And I found out like Christo is the thing now. So they introduced me to Christo and the future and whole this concept of branding and everything.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you started actually posting content on Instagram of science, not of design.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. And so that job of the stylescapes, that was the first time that you did a job of design, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty good. And how did it go?
It went very well. Yeah, I think I negotiated for around $50, and I shared with one of who's the guy? I'm forgetting his name. He's a designer from Australia. And coincidentally, we were working on the same project. He shared one video of that project, and I was like, are we working on the same project? And I shared my design. And he was like, your design is also good. And how much did you charge? And I was like, I charge $50 for this. And for two style skips, it's around $100. And he was like, you have to charge more. I'm just starting. I don't know anything. So then he recommended me like learn this, learn that. So I think the internet has been a very blissful thing for me. Started to learn. I found resources. I found people who I can learn from. I have found mentors who I can reach out to. So it's been a very interesting journey.
And when did you decided to dedicate yourself, all your energy, all your resources or whatever, to start creating your own business?
I think I have to be thankful for this pandemic for that, because I was stuck in my home, and I had maybe I was learning coding at that point. So I haven't did the like coding. I was quite focused on I have to develop an app. We were working on the startup idea at this point, and it was a very foolish idea, but still I was working on that. And since we didn't have any budget for that, I was trying to develop the app by myself. I will learn coding. I will develop the application by myself. But when I started learning the stuff, and I tried everything like from 3D design to stuff and everything. So when the lockdown happened, it made me choose what should I focus on now. I have to make a choice now. There are too many things, and I cannot be expert in everything. So I have to make a choice now. Would it gonna be a 3D design? Would it gonna be like software development? Would it gonna be like graphic design? Since I had some results to show for graphic design, like I had my page which I've grown up to 30,000 followers. So it was a confidence booster for me. So I went on with it. Like I would try to learn more about design because I have something to show someone who can use my services. So then I went on and figured out what are the steps for everything, like branding and how does social media marketing and everything works out. So I think the pandemic is the place where it changed a lot of people like
Yeah,
life of everyone. But for me, it changed to the better. Like it made me focus on one thing.
that's very cool. And so I'd say last year you spend your time learning about marketing or learning about this type of things. Tell me about more, like what did you focus your energy on last year and maybe different to this year? How would you differentiate those 2 years?
Last year was all about learning techniques, methods, and how to improve my design and everything, communication skill, like strategy skills. And this year, I focused more on networking, like building network, reaching out to people, focusing more on business side, less on creative sides.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a two difference. I think two different year.
How did you like receive your next client? Because you told me this story of this guy that asked you about this stylescapes, but then how did the next clients start to arrive to you? Or how did you reach out to them? Whatever happened.
Yeah, I was curious about every platform, so I applied on Upwork. I was like, Upwork is a good platform. It has some vetting process. At least they require to have a professional email just for getting your profile accepted. So I saved money for that. I'll have to get my professional mail. And I was not asking for money for all this stuff. I was like, I'm sitting at home for lockdown. Why would I ask money for something like this? So whatever I had saved, I tried to get my professional email, applied my profile for Upwork. I got accepted there. At the same time, I was also learning like what services I can offer. So I was also offering a wide range of service like logo design, social media design, everything which comes under graphic design. I was offering that. So there, one person picked my interest because he had better budget than everyone else. No one else was spending $500 on like just logo, and he was there, like he had that price. So I reached out to him, had conversations, and I think the best thing which happened, like we jumped on a call within 2 or 3 days, and that changed the whole narrative. Like he bonded with me. He knew I know my stuff. I know I have training in this. So that changed everything because I think on Upwork most of the time this conversation happens in the chat, and you miss the nuances of like whole negotiation. And when you're on the Zoom call, you see the person in front of you, and you have genuine conversations. You talk more about the person and everything. I think so. That was my I think second client which paid to me. So it was lower than job for $500.
What is your kind of preferred method of receiving new clients nowadays? Or how do you
Nowadays,
go about marketing?
yeah, I'm working on it. Like I've tried outbound strategy, like sending cold emails. I immediately found out like it's not for me. Like I seek human to human connection, and cold outreach it's not my cup of tea. So I have to find now I'm focusing more on building like rapport, having tight connection. So for this, you have to niche down very specifically. These are my target group. I will devote my time to this because if you try to reach out to everyone, it's not going to be possible. Either
Yeah.
you can focus on serving your client, or you will spend all your day like crafting mails and doing outreach. If you're just starting, it's a good strategy. But if you have consistently, if you're running business, then it won't be possible for you.
And now talking about niche, tell me about that. What was your kind of journey? Because I know this is one of the most difficult topics
Yeah.
when you're starting your own business. How did you start to realize what is your niche and how do you take that decision? And what's your niche right now?
So my niche, I've niched down specifically more to helping personal brands in mental health. So people who are mental health coaches or public speakers. So I'm targeting these people. Like I want to help them, and I'm crafting my offer and trying to find collaborators with whom I can work to provide a one-stop solution for everything which they might require. Niching takes a lot of time. I would say you have to. There are two ways. Either you from start you pick this is my niche, I'm going to focus on that, and you start working specifically on that. But it's going to be very rare. initially you want to taste everything. Like you want to try social media design, you want to try logo design, you want to try motion graphics, whatever suits you. But after a while you try to figure out like I like this, I like doing this thing better. I have like branding aspect of projects better than doing social media design. I think I can delegate social media design and I would pick more of branding projects. Then after a time it comes, after working with different clients, you figure out like this type of client I like working with them most. It can be like mental health brands, it can be like brand which have different purpose, it can be some fitness brand. It depends on who you enjoy working with. Then you have to make a choice between, is this like a affordable brand, affordable choice? If I try to work with them, do they have enough money to afford my services? For me, it was like in the mental health niche. When I worked with a client in the mental health niche, I immediately vibed with them and I aligned with their purpose. I knew what they were talking about. So then I chose this field, and as more as I researched, I found more and more about this niche, and I found interesting person to interview to. So this is how you niche. Not just go today I'm gonna niche on this subject. You try to niche progressively.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned that is something that is the most difficult, because to me it was really interesting to define. And I think that it's going to be something that will evolve over time. And today you might enjoy working with this type of people, but then one day you might receive another project and that would open your eyes to something totally new that now you enjoy the most. And I think it's very complicated because it's not just like a decision that you make from one day to the other, as you said, and it's something that can evolve, and you have to have your mind open to say, okay, at the end of the day, you want to put yourself in a position that you are the best equipped to help this specific person with this specific problem. And I wonder if this happened to you. Were you afraid that by niching down, you might lose opportunities? Is this something that was a problem for you?
I don't think so. You will use opportunity, and it never crossed my mind because I was like, if anyone reached out to me, I can just have conversation and ask them like, what do you need? And if they're impressed by my work, it means they are reaching out to me. They know they like my style of working, they like my content. Then what's the problem here? You can work with them, but not feature them in your portfolio. It's always a possibility. So I'm not saying deny the work opportunities when you're getting work opportunities, which can be out of your niche. You have to pay bills, you have to maintain your revenue and everything. So take opportunities whenever they come, but be specific on who you serve, because it will help you scale your price. It will help you establish as a thought leader in the space, and it will make you a guy they like the people in that niche reach out to, because every niche has a close knit circle which has potential to scale your boost your business. So it
Yeah.
can be thought leader in that space. So to break the circle, you have to slowly move upon a hierarchy. And if you're not focused on, if you're like trying to reach out to everyone, you're not gonna not be able to do that.
You reach no one. Yeah. And for instance, you mentioned in your niche mental health professionals, for instance, and I guess you position yourself as a brand designer for mental health professionals. And what was the other one?
Mental health professionals and coaches and
Okay.
public speakers.
Public speakers. Okay, cool. Do you prefer to work within a specific geographical location, or is anywhere in the world, or have you taken any decision regarding that part of your niche?
I think it depends on who you can reach out easily to and who has how easy to reach out to them, and if they have money to afford your services, and if they have need to, if they require your services. You have to do a little bit of research on this. You have to reach out to the different target personas and ask them, would you like to jump on a quick call? I'm exploring this niche. Would you help me out here? So most of the people, if you can reach out to them, they will try to help you. They will help you most likely. And then you figure out, like when I did an interview, that I figured out mental health therapists don't make much money. So you cannot target them. There's a price cap. There's a board of ethics, which limits like how much they can charge hourly. So if you try to reach out to them, there's gonna be a price cap, and it will limit your pricing, like what services you can offer. But if you're offering someone, so that's how you figure out, like if you have a niche, then you can find out like these are the person I can reach out to, and then you slowly figure out intricacies of every niche. I would like to work with this person, would not have money, but it would look good on my portfolio. And this person has a lot of money, but the work's gonna be very boring. So it depends. As much research you do, you figure it out.
Yeah. And have you, because I understand this pretty well, being from Costa Rica, for instance, and not being from United States, Have you found any, like, for instance, and I want to ask this in two ways. Like, first, talking about the niche, have you found yourself preferring, let's say, to reach out to people, let's say, outside of India? Because, for instance, in my case, my market is outside of Costa Rica. And the reason for that is that I feel like I can earn more if I focus on, let's say, markets in the United States or Europe or these type of things. Have you find yourself in certain spot where you rather reach out to people outside your country?
For me, it's always been like, so my first client was from outside of India. So from get-go, I was like, I'll work with this person. And slowly my network started build outside of India. Even I don't know a lot of people in my network are not from India. So even when I was communicating, I was reaching out, I was building network, joining communities which are not based in India. From the get-go, I was very specific. Maybe they found me. I think that would be a better word, because Indian businesses, and I even try to reach out to them, because being in India, I know what the price caps and opportunities they have. Because I was just having this conversation with Indian creatives here in India, and just trying to figure out, like, we did a creative strategy session together. It was about content strategy, and it was 3 hour session for 3 days, like 9 hours of session, strategy session, and they were very happy with the results. And I just asked them, like, to the startups here in India, how much would they pay for this? And they were like, they would not pay anything more than $500 for this. And I was like, it's a 3 days of work. It's a lot of like mental brainstorming and organizing and everything. And then I was like, do you know, like, the people, the strategists out there charge minimum of $5,000 for these sessions? And they were like, yeah, but this is the market here. So I was like, why waste my time and energy on this market? Because I know, like, even I would not pay someone that amount if even if I was running the business, because even if I know that importance of doing strategy sessions.
Now,
But there's a hesitancy.
do you think that, because in my case, we are from similar countries in the sense that the price that people would pay is very minimum, like in the countries that we're from. But maybe the difference from the countries that we're in is that Costa Rica is a very small country compared to India, which is huge. So I would say that it's even a bigger pond where to fish. And so do you think that this culture of maybe not valuing design that much, is that generalized in India, that you would not get like a good, let's say, total addressable market, like a good amount of people that would pay for your services?
I think designers is still a catch up to do here in India. Here in India, even the startups are focused on marketing. Like, they're heavily focused on, and that's why they are raising funds. Let's say a company raises a fund and maybe it's valued at $1 billion. So they will spend around 50% of their budget on marketing alone, just to capture as much as larger of audience as they can. And for that, and marketing and the product. So these two things they focus a lot. So they will have marketing firms and pay maybe millions just to launch campaigns and do sponsorships and stuff like that. But and for even for their product, they will have software developers and pay maybe up to 500,000 per year just to hire best of the best. But when it comes to design and like strategy and stuff like that and branding, they don't focus on that a lot. So design has a catch up to do here in India.
That's really interesting. Well, I think this is also something that is a slow roll to the rest of the world, because here in Costa Rica, for instance, let me give you like an interesting fact that can give some context. We don't have in Spanish a word for branding.
Yeah.
And so just realizing that there is not a word for branding tells you how new this concept is for, let's say, I can talk about Latin America, where if you try to specialize yourself in branding, guess what? It doesn't even exist a word for that. And that can be challenging. And have you found, or what obstacles have you found, if any, by working, let's say, from India, being based on India, and then working or reaching out into other countries and get those clients? What are the challenges that you have found there?
Yeah. The first major challenge was that I'm now a complete night owl. So to work on the Western time zone, I have to work whole night. And I've been comfortable with it. All my college years, I was working in the night. So I'm been comfortable. But the most serious, so it can be like, how do you build trust? So it's a very important factor. Like, how do you make people trust you? So it's one of the most important challenge which I have to face. And I think there are workarounds. You can have a very strong personal brand, and people will generally reach out to you. Like they know, they trust in you. If you have a huge social media following, they trust you. Or if you are part of a similar community, then they trust you. Like they see you every day. So that's why I think reaching out to people and having conversation is much more important. And finding the common ground is much more important than that. In the end, the business is done with the people. So if you have try to make genuine connections, you will grow your networks slowly. It will be much more meaningful connections. Slow and steady, you are trying to reach out, you're nurturing those connections, you're reaching out, you're having just genuine communications, just trying to help, not just like in the first call, you are not selling anything. You're just trying to build friendship. You're just trying to ask like what your business do and stuff like that. Being genuinely curious. So it builds that trust.
Yeah, and I found that sometimes when you take a course, let's say on branding or not on branding, on marketing and how to get your first clients and so on and so forth, usually there are these examples of using your existing network as the source of those first clients. Let's say sometimes it's saying, tell your mom that you would do websites so that your mom, when it's in a bank or somebody or in a bakery or whatever, they see that they don't have a website, they can refer you. And they tell these examples, and I'm like, that would apply if I was from the States, if I lived in Europe. But if I tell my mom barely knows or understand what is that I do. Because she's just from another context. She's not very tech savvy at all. And we live in very different contexts where our local network is not that useful. You have to be creative and then reach out to these online communities and all these other type of things. And maybe this is a topic that is not talked a lot in this type of courses. Have you found that challenging, that you maybe don't find resources that help you network not in their local way?
Yeah. I think these courses are made for the Western market. And when it comes to market it like in the third world countries and stuff like that, the context changes. But there's a workaround. I think it was the Dan Mall, and there's a concept of making a love letter to the people you want to work with. So create something, just create a concept work and send that to the person you want to work with. Like lead by an example. Just show them like these are the work I do. Would you be interested in it? I made this for you for free of cost. If you want to break that initial client barrier, just whoever you want to work with, just send them an example of a piece of work. This is the I made for you, free of cost, no strings attached. If you want to use it, you can use it. If you need more help or if you want to talk, just have communication, because in the initial phase you have to overcome that barrier of trust, and you can do that by just giving without asking anything in return.
Yeah, no, but that's really great advice. I think that there's different ways that you can earn trust with people that are not part of your day-to-day local, let's say, network. Look at us from different parts of the world. And what I've found is that this is something that I've been considering a lot, which is that the people that nowadays I find more connection with is people that can understand what I do, or that I can talk to about, because right now this is the biggest part of my life, my business, the thing that I do, design or web design or whatever. And if I just rely on my local, let's say, friends or whatever, they don't even understand what I do either. So the amount of topics that I would have to talk to them are very limited. But having all these communities, online communities, and all these places where you can reach out to people, and as you said, like just add value without just selling in the first place, I really think there's also a lot of opportunities like that online.
Yeah.
All right, we have a couple of minutes left, but I want to ask you, where do you see your business in 5 years from today? What is your vision? What you're trying to accomplish?
I think it's 5 years, a very long term, because I've seen in the span of 2 years, it changes a lot. What I used to vision in the 2 years, so things change a lot very rapidly nowadays. But in 5 years, And that's what I hope, working on some more meaningful, bigger projects. So that's what I'm hoping for. And helping my client, I think that's where you enjoy being a designer, when you see your result out there and it helps your client achieve their goal. So I want to achieve that goal and maybe have a fluid agency kind of thing, but it depends on what kind of project I'm working on.
And when you say like meaningful projects, what do you consider meaningful? What are things that you would kind of elements that would help you say, hey, this is a meaningful project versus another one?
So I would ask this question to you. Have you ever made your client cry? Tears of joy?
Not exactly, but yes, very joyful. Yes.
So that feeling, I want to work on that feeling, like where they feel like they see their vision being real, coming into reality.
Yeah.
And it sparks a feeling of joy into you. I'm doing something meaningful, which is helping this person realize their goal. Because there can be two kind of things. Like most of the time we talk about what is your why? What do you want to achieve with your life? And in my short span of this journey, I found out like you don't have to figure out your why. Your why can be helping other people achieve their why. So you don't have to like fight a bigger journey. You just to help someone
Yeah.
who's fighting that journey and help them.
Or let's get philosophical here for a minute. You want to go there?
Sure.
Here's what I discovered. People, they say that they look for the purpose of life, or what is the meaning of life, what is the purpose of life, and all this type of things. And the biggest philosophical questions out there is, where do we come from, who we are, and where are we going to, and this type of things. So I think that the best way to go about it is not overthink it, but over enjoy it. So what I mean by that is, let's say let me give you an example that maybe both can relate. Let's say that your father wants to give you a birthday gift and he says, hey, I'm going to give you this iPad Pro that you have been dreaming about. And what if you say, but how did you buy this iPad? And how did you get the money to buy this iPad? Where did you buy this iPad? And how long have you been thinking about buying this iPad? And you try to overthink this gift, you're going to spend your whole time trying to overthink it. And that's not the point. The point is just enjoy it, and that's it. Because even if you start asking yourself questions and questions and questions, and you start getting the answers, given that you're starting getting the answer, the questions are not going to end. And at the end of the day, you're going to say, okay, then what do I do with all these answers? And so what I've learned is not to overthink it, but over enjoy it. So be more present and just enjoy life as it is right now. And in regards to purpose, I don't think that you should look for the meaning of life, because I don't think there's such a thing. I don't think there is like something you say, oh, now I found it. This is the meaning of life. I think that the meaning of life is the one you give it to. It's like, why is the why you want to do the work you do. In your case, you sound like you want to do this designs because you want to have this impact on your clients, of making them so happy with the designs that they even want to cry about it. And that's your why. And you can decide your why. I think that is easier because you can just take some time, a couple of hours one day, go to a coffee shop or whatever and say, all right, what is the purpose that I want to give to my life? Instead of just spending your whole life seeing if you're finally eliminated or somehow given this answer. So what do you think about that?
I think it can be summed into one line, like ignorance is bliss. But I have a rebuttal for that. Let's say, and as you say, enjoy the moment and be content with whatever you're feeling and do not question where this is coming from. But this question is not going to leave you, as you said. The question was always going to be there with you. So the more you try to suppress it, it's as I've noticed, like the more you try to suppress it, it will pop up here and there. You may use your phone at the night and try to scroll reels just to distract yourself from that question, but it will come to you. Maybe not now, maybe later when you're just sitting, just having this communication, or maybe just sitting on a nice vacation, just looking at like a beach, seashore, and hearing the sound of waves. And then the question comes in, like, why am I here? Why is everything is here? So that question is never going to leave you. So it's a pursuit, like it can take a long time to find what is my ultimate why.
Yeah. But
It
do
can
you
be
feel
like, what
like
is
you
the
have
meaning
to
of life?
find that why, or that you can create that why?
I think finding or creating, it's the same thing.
Okay.
You're just, it's a pursuit, like it's never ending pursuit.
Yeah.
I think if it ends, then it ends the day of your death.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that there's a point of it where it it can evolve because you change as a person, circumstances changes, and so your why today is not going to be the same why 20 years from now. So I think that's one of the other things. There's a lot of people, they don't like to do plans because they say, how dare you even say that something is going to happen when you don't know the future, or things like that. Or I don't like to put myself into a box, or all this type of things. But I think that the reason why I love planning is because, to me, a plan is an anchor thought that I give to my brain whenever, things are crazy. Because what I say is, I'm doing the best thing that I can, which is making a plan. That's what I can do.
Yeah.
And so that's my anchor thought. But also, it gives me like a roadmap of where should I go. And then when I found the obstacles, then I say, okay, what should I do? But I think that every plan needs to be subject to change and evolution, because you don't know the future. You don't know what are the circumstances that you're going to find. Love it. Love it. All right. Thank you. It has been a pleasure talking to you. I can talk to you the whole day because we have a lot of things in common, and we definitely enjoy design. You are in the designers that I admire the most when it comes to brand design. And I'll be sure to reach out to you every time that I need help with design, because yeah, I really like that. What is the best way if people want to reach out to you, if they want to have, let's say, a brand design made by you, or stylescapes, or any help in design, where can they reach you?
The best way would be like reaching to me on LinkedIn. So I'm there at Ankit Sherke. Just you can search my name, or on Instagram. I'm there at ankitsherke.design.
Okay.
So you can just reach out to
I
me.
will be sure to include those links in the description of the episode.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
hey, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. What time is it there where you are?
It's 3:30 in the morning now.
Holy cow. All right. So double thank you for that commitment. And I appreciate your time. And I hope to see you very soon.
Definitely.